So I'm just starting off by working on my outline on my tracing paper for my sketchbook. In my sketchbook, I keep my sketch pretty rough. Now I drew this cute little garlic girl a couple of days ago, and was, just like, she needs to be a cute little vampire that needs garlic on her head. So right now I'm just working on getting that cleaner outline. I still do a lot of editing as the time goes on, even when I am on the Bristol paper with my ink pens, but I'm still just trying to make sure I get those clean lines so they transfer nicely to my final piece. And I'm also tracing the back of the paper so I can get that nice transfer over to my Bristol paper. Now if I had this drawing on a copy paper or a computer paper, then I could just use that graphite stencil transfer paper. However, I like keeping it in my sketchbook, so I'd rather keep a little record of it and, just do a teeny bit more work to get this cool piece on a final sketch. And now just really pressing hard into the paper with my pencil so I get all those outlines and I'm not missing any detail. And yes, it's going to come up really light. I'll get some of the line drawings, but at least I'll be able to see the indent. So just making sure I get everything. And now I'm working on the line drawing with my Micron pens. So I use Micron and I also use Prismacolor pens. I like to keep my outline with a 0.3 or 0.5 size. And the reason for that is I want to still build up those line weights later on. And also, you just get a little bit more leeway. And definitely when I'm working on faces, I like to keep that detail with a very fine pen because it's really easy to muddy it up and lose all that good detail that you just put a lot of work into. And there, she's getting all her outline of her garlic bulbs. Aw. And yeah, now just erasing, making sure I erase the first thing I drew, not the last thing I drew, because those smudges are not fun. And now I'm just adding some color with my Faber Castile markers. I'm starting with my orange, and I actually did end up stopping halfway because my orange marker was dying. I don't have a lot of nice drawing markers because they're really expensive. So if you guys have any good tips for good quality drawing markers, let me know, because I do have a few Copics, but those are like really expensive. I did add purple for the other half of her hair to keep it very Halloween colors, and the orange and the purple actually really complement each other, and plus, who doesn't want to have purple hair? I mean, it's the funnest color. Yeah, just adding those purple tones, also with a Faber Castile marker. Yeah, and just building up those colors and adding a little bit of shadows with a blush marker. Blush colored Faber Castile marker, just to add a little bit of shadows. It's a mid-tone, so I can still lighten it and I can also darken it a bit. It's still gonna have that shadow undertone, but I can still lighten it and darken it if I needed to. However, she is a vampire, so I wanted to keep her nice and pale. And now just working on her highlights and colors with my color pencils in the hair. I probably used about like 5 or 6 different color pencils just for her orange hair alone, because I really wanted to build up the dimension and the shadows and the highlights of her hair, because it's cartoony, it's fun, and because it was such a good mid-tone, that orange, I could really build it up both ways. And with the purple, however, it was a little bit darker, so I actually did have to use a lot more highlighting purples like lavenders and lilacs to build up the tones, but I still added some good like plums just to let you know where her roots were and that differentiation between her bangs and the back of her hair. And of course, adding those little white highlights and make it all nice and fun and shiny. And now I'm just working on the garlic bulbs, and it's just a nice little warm gray tone. Oh man, I love garlic. So lately I've been buying the garlic that has a little bit of purple tones. And they're a little bit stronger garlic, and I just like how the tones look on it, so it's just like, we need to add this, and putting those purple tones and those little brown tones in there. And yes, this poor vampire girl likes to live dangerously with garlic on her head. I mean, because a life without garlic is no life at all. And just adding those little highlights, and yeah, just making them pop a little bit. Now I'm just working on the skin tone colors and really trying to blend everything out and just making sure it's a nice, smooth, even transition. So she is going to be really pale because she is a vampire, so got to keep her pale and have that, that moon tan. So just building up those tones a bit and giving a little bit of rosiness to her because, she was at one point breathing and living. So got to give her a little bit of a blushies. And she's a cartoon, so still got to add those little blushies and touches and keep building up those shadows. And just adding her making sure her nose is a little indented and getting that dimension for the bridge of her nose and everything, and still building everything up. Now I'm working on her eye color, and I had this really cool aqua color that I thought went well with the orange and it went well with the purple, and I just really wanted to blend it and make sure I had, like the right shape of that iris and getting all the dimension in those colors because it's always darker really around the iris and just has a lot of dimension to it. And I added a little bit of an extra little highlight to make it more cartoony. Because usually there's, one or two highlights on the eye, and then working on the pupil and figuring out where that highlight should stay and kind of carving around it. And then I actually started building up with like her cute little goth makeup and made sure she had, like eyelashes that went on for days and really building those out. Like this vampire definitely's got her falsies on and getting that smudgy eyeliner look and the black lipstick, of course, because, she's got to cover up that blood that she gets on her lips all the time, and just building up that neck and starting to work on her cute little blood vial. Oh, it's the cutest little thing. I mean, she's very Angelina Jolie, but super, super cute. You got to have your little blood vial and got to show it off. Come on. And just building up those tones and getting those highlights. And now her dress was originally emerald green, and I did have the intention to make it black. However, when you are working on drawings and actually just color theory in general with black, it's the absence of color. So no matter what, it's going to have a different tone. Like with blue, green, purple, brown, even a little bit of reddish. So this one, I really want to keep that green tone to it. However, it wasn't coming out as best as I liked, so I ended up just coloring the whole thing black, but you can still see some of the green emerald tones underneath, and then I started building up with little purple highlights on it and lavender just to kind of give it a little bit more, because the purple complemented the green really well. So I just wanted to build her up a little bit more and make it a little bit more dimensional, just adding those finishing touches and giving those tones back in there. Yep, and it's almost all cleared. Oh, yay, she's looking a little bit more done, and making those fishnet gloves all purpley and have a little bit of that extra goth flair to it. She's got her choker on. She needs her little blushies and adding those darker tones in the mouth. Because, gotta have that dimension. Of course, gotta have that little droplet of blood. I mean, she wears black lipstick to cover up the blood, but come on. She's gonna have that blood on there. Bam! I'm just adding the final touches, getting those line weights up, and definitely planned out that I wanted to have like thicker line weights on the outside of the hair and a little bit around her face too, just because it's a little bit more cartoony, and when you are doing the color, sometimes you need to brighten up those lines afterwards because it really can blend into it a bit more. And I did have the plan in my head to make that thicker, but I also like keeping the lining for the end. Just finish it off. And here's the final. Oh, she's all done. All pretty. Oh, my little garlic girl.